Welcome everyone to Christian Sportbike Fellowship. Today we are going to talk about fear and anxiety, and then we're going to ride to Stevens Creek Reservoir by Cupertino. Originally Joseph was scheduled to speak today, but he started a new job, so he's working. And I got his outline on Wednesday. I made a few changes, but I tried to keep most of it the way he wanted it. So if you don't like it, then I wrote it. If you like it, then he wrote it. Okay, fear and anxiety. Today we're going to talk about fear and anxiety, what it is, what the problem is, and then the solution. So fear is an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous, likely to cause pain or a threat. An acronym that Joseph recently learned was, for fear, F is false evidence appearing real. So false evidence appearing real. So everyone was afraid of something growing up. What are some things that you guys were afraid of when you grew up? What were some things that you were afraid of?
Frogs.
Frogs?
Yeah.
Okay. What about you guys?
Ghosts.
Ghosts?
Geckos.
Geckos? Yeah. Okay, so have you ever thought of why you're afraid of those things? Okay.
I saw a scary show and it depicted frogs attacking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shoot warts everywhere.
Okay. So how many of these things actually came true? Your fears? Probably none of them, right? When I grew up, I was afraid of the dark, I was afraid of heights, and I was afraid of ghosts. And then I remember when I was 4 years old, my parents flew us to Disneyland. The first one was heights. I didn't like being on the airplane. And then when we got to Disneyland, one of the first attractions we went to was the haunted house. There's these holographic ghosts in the mirrors, and it was very dark in there. So that wasn't the best experience for me. And the reason why I was afraid was because for heights, if I fall, I'm gonna die. And then with ghosts, they might attack me, and then I'll die. And then when you're in the dark, you're someone might attack you, they can hurt you, and then you can die as well. Fear is a normal human reaction. One of the results of fear is anxiety, or a feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease, typically an imminent event or something with an uncertain outcome. It's kind of our body's way of protecting ourselves. Have you guys seen that movie Inside Out, the Disney movie? Inside each person, it's kind of like a control room, and there's different feelings. Each character is a feeling. There's joy and sadness, and one of them was disgust and anger, and there's one, I think, fear. When he sees the situation, he's pushing this button. I think he's trying to protect you from getting hurt or harming your body, so that's why we have fear. Things people fear are usually uncertainties about the future or a way of affecting their comfort or security. So some of the examples that Joseph listed, and I added a few, are what if I fail an exam? What would happen if I did bad on an interview? When will I find my dream job? When can I actually afford a house in the Bay Area? When will I retire? And who am I going to date, or who am I going to marry? These are fears that we have because we don't know what's going to happen in the future. And a saying that Joseph really likes is, if you're depressed, you're living in the past. If you're anxious, you're living in the future. If you're at peace, you're living in the present. The problem with fear, I thought of 3 different reasons. The issue with fear is that we're relying on ourselves and not on God. Proverbs 3:5 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. So if you're not trusting in God, then you're disobeying Him, which is sinning. And I do that all the time, but it's not good. Anxiety also causes health issues. I know a lot of people that get anxious or have anxiety, and some of the things that affects them is that they lose sleep, they can't eat, they have acid reflux, they waste a lot of time just thinking about things that might never happen, and they also stress other people out. 2 Timothy 1:7 says, for God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control. And thirdly, Fear stops us from doing God's will. In Matthew 14:25 through 31, there's a story about Jesus walking on water, and then his disciples see him, and then Peter's like, "Is that you, Jesus? If it is, tell me to come walk to you." So Jesus says, like, "Come to me." And then Peter starts walking on the water, and then there's like a wind that blows, and then he's like, "Oh shoot, it's kind of scary." And then he starts to doubt, and then he starts drowning, and then like he's like, "Jesus, help me." So Jesus picks him up and says, like, "Why'd you doubt?" Two things happen in this story. First is Peter was walking on water, a human was walking on water, and then he started to sink because he doubted. And Peter walking on water is a miracle. And imagine what God can do with our lives if we didn't doubt. So the solution for fear is to trust in God in all things. I'll read 2 verses. Philippians 4:6-7 says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." 1 Peter 5:7 says, "Cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you." And like if you guys know like fishermen, or if you've been fishing before, like that word cast, it's not like I have this net, I'm just gonna just toss it. Like you're gonna like use your entire body to get it as far as you can into the water to try to catch something. So when it says like to cast your anxiety, it's like you're using your entire body to throw it onto God because he'll take care of you. We have to realize that God is so powerful that he created you and he created me and he created this entire universe. He's in control of everything and tells us to cast our anxiety on him because he cares for you. He already knows the future, and if we give him control of our life, then we can have peace. Imagine how differently our lives would be if we let go of our fears and put our trust in God. Some of the questions to think about, I have 3 of them. First one, describe a past fear that you overcame. What would your current self tell your old self? 2, what is something that you're currently afraid of doing but would like to do? And then 3, during the week, reflect on the thought that you can cast your fears on God, knowing that he cares about you.